All right, so we're gonna see if that GoPro stays where I just hung it. But this axle has C-clips, and I'm sure everybody else has seen it. But the way to get the axles out is you got to take this little bolt out here, which looks maybe about a 9-ish. It's not a 9. And it's not a 10 either. Hey, how do you know? That's an American. This is a mishmash car. You never know what you're going to find. So that's probably a 3/8. Sure is. So note that. You don't want to strip that thing. Yikes. Now, I've never done this to this axle before, so this is factory tight. One thing I did notice is that the new one that's supplied in the kit actually has, oh, just like this one, it actually has thread locker on it. So that's probably why that's that stiff. Come on. Okay, and there it is. You can see how it's got threads on the outside and then that pin. And that pin's a little bit worn. That's a pretty good lip. You can see where it was going through the actual spider gear pin. So I gotta go get some towels, because now's the time to start trying to be a little clean, because no lubricant works well with a bunch of grit and crap in it. And I'm also going to get my paint pen, because as these parts come out, I am going to label them. Wow, I'm amazed that that is that chewed up. Anyway, I'm going to label them so I know exactly where to put them back. Alright. Now, what are the odds? Obviously the transmission is in neutral, and that's how I can rotate this if I need to. Okay. Apparently it wants to go out the bottom, of course. So, we will oblige it. And now here's something to consider. My hands are greasy, and that's how that came out. Notice this only goes in one way because that hole lines up at the top. It has flats on it for where it goes through the spider gears, and then the axles kind of butt up against it in the center. That's important because that piece is going to be reused. But notice how easily that came out. So when it goes back together, it needs to go back together just that easily. If you think you need to use a hammer on that thing, you have done something wrong. And I will probably get to that point and realize I've done something wrong as we're going. Okay. So I will spin this baby back. Let's see what we got. Okay, now what you have, as I said, is the C-clip axles. In order to get the axles out, it's pretty simple. You just have to push in on where the brake drum goes, see? And then remove the C-clip. That's it. Then the axle goes out. Simple as that. Do that on the other side. Of course, that one is not turned the right way. Well, let's see if we can spin it. There she goes. Come on. And then the axle disappears. That's it. That's what's terrible about this type of axle in a really heavy-duty application, is because if you break the axle shaft anywhere, the wheel goes. So if you've ever seen somebody lose an axle at a drag strip, that's exactly what happened. They broke the damn axle, or at a tractor pull or rock climbing or whatever. They're using a crappy axle, and they broke it, and the axle went left or right, depending on what it is. So I'm going to mark each of these, driver and passenger. I don't think that matters, but since I can, I'm going to. And they look pretty good. I don't see any big gouges or scrapes or scratches or nothing. They all look pretty happy. Passenger, driver. And that paint, if I want, I can rub off when I put it back together. But so now what we have is, I guess, what we want at the end of getting it repaired. So what I think I'm going to try to do, I think I'm going to try to build my tool and get it in there, play with it, see how I can compress these springs, because all your friction material and packs and stuff is inside of this and then behind the gear over here. So what you need to do is compress those springs, and then you can roll these in with the axle. But I'm going to attempt to do that, because if I can do it in reverse, I know I'll be able to hopefully have an idea of what to do when I have to put it in forward, rather than just banging these things together. I guess I'm going to put my tool in here and try to get that set up, see how that works, and try to spin these gears out, because what you end up having to do is you got to basically try to leave this one in and hold that end, hold that axle from spinning while you turn the other one, and it will walk the spider gears out of it. Basically, one will go back, one will go forward. Now the spider gears also have shims. You can barely see them in there, but they aren't just sitting in the housing. And those shims are important, and they need to stay where they are, and they need to go back where they were. So another reason for the paint pen, all that's getting marked. And I'm going to mark the spider gears as pin side and opposite side. In other words, pin side here and opposite, because that'll guarantee I put them back in the right location. Okay, well, I'm going to go get my tool and see what the heck I can do here. Now, on some of the videos I've seen, or one of them actually, everybody seems to start with a whole bunch of washers. Now, since that's not going to tighten up all the way, I'm going to actually add a few here. I'm going to get one a little better fit than that. And that thing has to get in there somehow. I don't quite know how I'm going to do it. Those washers fit pretty good. Looks like I may end up having to assemble it in there. Yeah. Yeah, of course. This will be a good learning. Push the axle out a little bit. What I'm going to need to do yeah, this is going to be something. Yep, because you do have to assemble it in place. Get that axle out of there as far as possible. Get that axle out of there. Okay. Yeah, glad I'm trying this now to know what I'm looking at, because this is a cluster, and that's what everybody describes, but nobody's ever filmed the cluster, so here it is. And of course, you're crossed. And I have, unfortunately, large hands, which makes this even doubly more difficult. Let's try something else here. Let's see if I can get that started. Maybe like that. Oh, look at that. That worked. It worked. Okay. What the fuck? Come on. Whew! All right. Well, as you can see, that's not the simplest thing in the world. But if you don't do this every day, and I would expect most of you don't, it's cheaper by a fair shot, I would wager, than springing for the actual tool that is designed for this. Now, I'm still fiddling with it to get it where I want it, but that's basically it. And then it's you know, 3/4 inch to press that apart. The thing is, what I'm trying to do is seat the head of the carriage bolt back in those washers, which since this is 2.5 inches long and 13 threads per inch, requires a fair number of turns. You know, I'm not cheap, but I don't like ordering tools terribly. And I can't even say that. I don't even know. I should have just bought the damn board tool. At some level, you know, you gotta bite the bullet. And yeah, okay, you may only use it the once, but for Christ's sake, this is a pain in the ass. And this is stupid. That's basically what I want to do, is get it to where I can just move one of these and tighten it up. And I think I'm getting there. Yep, I'm there. Okay. There. Okay. God, what a pain in the ass. But what I've done is I got the thing in there. The carriage bolt head is in the right side here. The rest of it's stuck through here. And I finally got the carriage bolt moved all the way that way so they're pinched. The washers are generally square in the little holes. I'm going to attempt to put this axle back in a little bit. And there. Because that's what you want. You want to be able to turn that thing while that thing is in there. So that's what I'm going to need. The other axle isn't as important. What you're going to end up having to do though is, and I'm not sure if I'm just going to be able to put it in park to do it. We'll see. We'll see. I may be able to put it in park and then spin those out, but I'm going to snug this down just a little bit to see how it works. Yep. And of course, oh wow, look at that. Right off the bat. See? They're already a little loose. Perfect. That's what you want. That's what you're trying to do, is loosen those up. The other thing I've heard is that if you over tighten this, you will bind it so where that you need like a 9,000 foot long bar on the end of the axle to spin it. I don't want to end up doing that, so we're going to see what we have here. But I'm going to snug it just a little bit more because I can always change it. There. That's pretty good. Okay. Now, since I'm in here, that's my pin side. I'm going to leave the other one blank. Alright, so that axle is completely out of here, and just for shoots and giggles, passenger. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go put it in park. And then I'm going to try to turn that axle and see what it does. What? Hey, it's working. Look at that. So that's what we're going to have to do. And that's actually a really good thing, because this is not a terribly long bar, and I'm not having to put too much force on it. This is actually working really well. I'm going to see if I can take those out by hand right now before they fall. I don't think I can yet, but you can see what it's doing is this side's being held, and this side I'm turning with the tool in place, holding them apart a little bit. and it's allowing me to walk this top one out, and the bottom one is going to walk out the back, which will probably drop it into the oil, but at least you'll know where the stuff is. So I'm going to continue doing that, and hopefully we see what happens. Let's see. Can't quite get it out yet. And now this is the other piece of this is it also shows me how far in and out these have to be when I start. Oh, there's the shim. That's good. Let's clean that. Come on, get up there. That's the shim I was talking about. Don't want to lose those, because if you do, the rear end will not work well. Okay. And there it is. Here she is. Yep. And I think I have to now, if I put it in neutral again and just rock this forward, the housing forward just a little bit, that's going to drop out, and then we'll be in good shape. Slicker than snot in the doorknob. And there's seriously? Well, the shim is on there, but it is, at least as I can determine, yeah, it's on there. It just happens to be stuck pretty good. So, to be honest, I'm just going to leave it, because from what the other thing I've heard is that getting that back in there and keeping it in there without it falling out is difficult when you're putting it back together. So, we're just going to set that there for now. Now, really, what I need to do is take my tool out, and the main gears will come out. So, and now you have a little more room. This is the other thing I think will be nice, because I'll have a little bit extra room when I'm putting this in the last time, or when I go to rebuild it, because, well, I mean, I wanted the spider gears in there. So, let's see. Wow. That compresses quite a bit. I'm rather surprised. There it goes. Yeah, that you do have to put quite a bit of compression on that thing to get it to work. And now what I need to do is get these together. And what I'm doing now is exactly the opposite of what I did when I put it in, is chasing these nuts all the way to the end. Basically, I'm walking the bolt into the axle shaft this way so that I can back it out like I installed it. Again, it's a faff, and I shouldn't have been cheap. I should have just bought the damn tool. But hey, maybe you don't want to spend 30 bucks on a tool you're only going to use once. So this does appear to be effective, just not quick or easy. And yeah, you do have to compress those quite a bit. Those Belvilles are not terribly domed, but they do appear to have some pretty good spring force. I'll be real interested to see the condition of this stuff, assuming I ever get it apart, because as I said, this truck is 20 years old next month from purchase, and actually according to the build date was also in April of '97. And it has traveled 240, almost 3,000 miles since then. And I know I've changed this oil once when I got it in 2010, but I honestly don't know how often it was done prior. So from a maintenance perspective, I've got a little bit of an idea, but I really don't know what I'm looking at here. And I'm going to stop my commentary because I'm sure this is just thrilling. Okay, I think I have finally, my goodness, moved that nut, that bolt, all the way out of the washers on the driver's side. So, I'm going to tweak it a little bit more. And what I'm hoping at some point is that these washers that I put in on that side are going to fall out. So if they do, there we go. Come here. There's one. And there's the other one. Obviously, if you drop things in here, get them out. You really don't want to be that guy that does all this work to just completely ruin and destroy everything you just worked on. Okay. And there is one side. Actually, this is going to be real easy going back in because I'll be able to set that tool at least together like that, like I just did, so I don't have to stack it in there. So there it is. There's all your steels and the materials and the shims. So I'm going to set that right there. And now pull this beastie out, and if we can get this baby to come out. And there it is. And judging by everything, we're in good shape. Now, one thing I noticed, and I'll tape this once I get up there and start stacking this stuff. One of the things that I noticed is that the kit came with a bunch of shims. And so what I'm going to do, wow, look at that. Look at that. How the hell does that work? Oh, okay, I see how that works. Look at the wear on the tabs on the friction material. That's interesting. I didn't know how that works, but yeah, so that's 242,000 miles. That's a fair bit of metal. And they're both about the same. I'm going to inspect the case. It looks good, but I'm going to clean it a little bit, and we'll take a look at that later. But anyway, the kit came with a bunch of shims that I don't know all of them are going to be required, but I'm going to grab a micrometer and figure out what shims need to be in there because I want to put it back. One of these is the Belleville. There's the Belleville in here. Where the hell is the spring? Guess I shouldn't have done that. There it goes. Okay. Oh, nope, there's the Belleville. what's interesting to me is I don't think my new Belvilles have those tabs on them. I guess the thing that I can do is inspect the Belvilles for what kind of crown they have, because they're still pretty well crowned, and because they're not really showing any significant wear, if they are still crowned pretty close to what the new ones are, I will most likely go back with these, because I don't like the fact that my new ones don't have these tabs to hold them steady. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think that makes a hell of a lot of difference. But why would they be there in the original and not in the replacements? Interesting. Yeah, now all of the other friction tabs, they do, but not on the Belvilles. So, okay, well, that's going to be it for now, and we will come back later. Clank. There. Now I got plenty of clearance to put all that back in. We will come back later and start the reassembly.